So as you can see here, in last class we discussed about the basics of BJT. So there we derived the IV equation. So let us have a review of all those equations. Um, for emitter, we had two equations, one for IEN electrons. This is for PNP transistor. Electrons entering from base to emitter. Then IEP is basically the current due to holes entering from emitter to base. And this IEP, some part of it is basically taken out as IV through recombination, but most of it goes out as ICP. Right? And then of course base collector junction is reverse bias. So here also you have ICN, right? And this is ICP. So overall expressions for all four components are given here: IEN, IEP, ICN, and ICP. Now here you notice the difference. IEN and ICN, they have the same equation as we saw for the diode. IEP and ICP are slightly modified because of narrow base. So when the one side of the junction is narrow, then this kind of equation do appear. And even in IEP and ICP, if you notice, there is some kind of symmetry. So if you compare the coefficient VE exponential VEB here and exponential VCB here, right? These coefficients are same, cot hyperbolic WILV. And similarly, if you compare the coefficient of exponential VEB with exponential VCB, they are also same, 1 over sine hyperbolic. And of course, their signs are reversed. The rest of the things are same. Now that is because if the transistor is, the emitter and collector doping is exactly same, then as far as current is concerned, we should not see any difference whether you take base emitter as forward bias or you take collector as emitter, right? So that's why these equations are. Then the expression for excess minority carriers in base, that is also given by um, exponential QEB by KT times 10 hyperbolic and exponential QVCY with this should also be okay. Sorry, it's not it's sine hyperbolic W minus X by LV by sine hyperbolic W by L and corresponding to exponential QVCB by KT sine hyperbolic X by LV by sine hyperbolic W by LV. Now, if you compare this expression also, they are actually very similar because for VCB, right? This is X basically, right? From collector base junction, from base emitter junction. So if this we have defined X, so the coefficient or argument for this sine hyperbolic is W minus X. For collector base junction, if you define X like this, then W minus X, let's say this is X prime, right? So W minus X prime will be X. So basically I want to show here that there is a quite symmetry here. Then of course we also saw different expressions for alpha. This is the alpha transport, right? 1 over cosine hyperbolic, and gamma is basically emitter injection efficiency, and this alpha DC is also same as alpha n, right, for normal mode. basically from emitter to collector, and beta is alpha over 1 minus alpha. This is also beta is alpha n over 1 minus alpha n. So if you operate in operate this VJT in normal mode, we call this one as alpha n from emitter to collector. If you operate in inverse mode or reverse mode, then collector acts as emitter and current flows from collector to emitter, and that we call alpha inverse or alpha reverse, right, or beta reverse, and the expression will be similar. Only thing will change here, for alpha reverse, instead of emitter we will have a collector, so this will become DC, this become LC, this become NC, right, the doping in the collector and so on. Okay, now if you add all the components, if you add IEN plus IEP, you will get the expression for IE. Similarly, if you add ICN and ICP, you will get the expression for IC. And again, you notice here the coefficient of QVCV by KT and exponential QV by KT. In these two, they are similar, right? You see, and similarly, expression for QVV by KT for IE and exponential QVC by KT for IC, they are also same. Except whatever is emitter here, same thing is collector here, right? You see, right? Rest things are similar. Then we discussed a model. We wrote that I is IES exponential QV by KT minus 1 minus alpha R ICS exponential QVC by KT minus 1, and IC we wrote alpha N IES exponential QV by KT minus 1 minus ICS QVC by KT, and that we represented using two diodes, right? So we wrote one diode like this and one diode like this. This was emitter, this was base, this was collector, and then we put one controlled current source here, right? IE. So this is diode IES, and this is ICS. IES, this diode, this alpha R ICS, so sort of opposite, right? Minus, right? And then IC is basically moving out, so diode sign is opposite, so you will get negative sign here, and this will be alpha N IES. So this is IES, alpha N IES. This is ICS, alpha R ICS. So you can recall this model. Then we did some modification also here, and we tried to relate this IE and IC in terms of each other. So if you want to express IE as a function of IC, then you can write IE is alpha R times IC plus IEO times exponential QV by KT minus 1, and IC if we express as a function of IE, then we can write IC is alpha N times IE. So you can see here IC is alpha N times IES, right? And this exponential thing. So you can substitute instead of this IES exponential thing, you can write IE minus, this will become plus, so plus alpha R ICS, right? So this will basically be alpha N times see here this equation, IC is alpha N times, now this you are substituting IE plus alpha R ICS exponential term, right? So alpha N IE is here, and this alpha R ICS and minus ICS, right? So that will be minus ICO QCV by KT, and then ICO is given by 1 minus alpha n alpha r ICS. So this is 1. Now this is alpha n times alpha r. Well, this is plus sign, so 1 minus of minus will be plus. And similarly, you get expression for IEO. And then alpha f and alpha r, they are similar. Only thing is whatever is emitter is replaced by collector here for alpha r. Okay, so we have discussed this BJP working principle. We also derived the IV characteristic equation by solving monetary carrier diffusion equation. Then now let us see. We will discuss two things here. What are the characteristics of real BJT? What are the deviations when you consider a realistic structure? What are the deviation, and how does it respond with time or frequency response? So here you see the common base configuration, and in common base configuration you have IE versus VEB. It's like diode, right? And we expect that for all base collector voltage it should be unaffected. But for the experimental device, if you notice here, if you apply reverse bias at collector base junction, they is slightly affected, right? And what is the effect? The emitter current actually increases with the reverse bias of base collector. So that means, of course, this influence is minimal, very small, but you can see the effect here, and it does play a role. We will see, how this effect is coming, but you can have a preview. What happens when base collector is reverse bias, right? And if you increase the reverse bias, the field at the base collector junction increases. So it basically pulls the carriers with a stronger force. So more carriers are pulled, and we will also see in coming slide that the reverse bias of base collector junction modify the base width also slightly, so the slope will increase. So at least the IEP component of IE will increase by that. Then if you see IC versus VCB, here you see with this extra term called breakdown voltage VCBO. So this is very similar to the PN junction we discussed, right? Now VCB is basically just like a diode only, because here you are basically biasing the base and collector junction, right? So this voltage will basically is only biasing this base collector junction, right? So it will be same as the PN junction, and the breakdown voltage will be VCBO for the base collector junction. Now in common emitter, you can see a notable difference when base collector junction is zero biased, is in equilibrium, right? No voltage is applied. Some base current will flow. When base current is reverse, base collector junction is reverse biased, it gets shifted basically, right? So that means your base current is reduced, correct? Now this is happening because this curve is for normal operation. Now when VEC is 0, now VEC is basically this voltage. If you look here, emitter base collector, right? Now VEC consists of VEB VEB plus BC, right? Now, if VEB is forward bias, then VBC has to be negative, and negative VBC if this is P and P, right? So negative VBC means the base collector junction is also forward bias. So when VEC is 0, that means both the junctions are forward bias. So in that case, of course, your IB will be high because from both the sides the current will flow. And then if you reverse bias one of this, then current will from emitter it will straightaway pass to collector, and very small base current will be there. So that's why you see this thing here. And again, it depends on the reverse bias, but the effect is minimal here. And then IC versus VEC, right? We expect it to be a constant with VEC, but in effect, it actually linearly increases, right, in one region. Then as is approach the breakdown voltage called VCEO. This is VCEO, right? For common base, it was VCBO. So this actually it increases here and it suddenly get multiplied when it reaches near the breakdown voltage. One more thing you can notice here, VCO is around, if you see this curve, according to this curve, it's 90 voltage, right? 90 volts, and VCBO is 120 volts. So VCBO is more than VCEO, right? That we will also see. So this is the summary of the comparison. So for common base, input characteristic shows VCB dependence. Output characteristic shows a breakdown voltage of VCBO. Similarly, for common emitter, input characteristic has pretty good agreement, but in output characteristic, you have upward slope for IC, right? Then at the breakdown, it basically increases, but that breakdown is not so sharp in case of emitter, right? In case of VBC, it's fairly sharp, right? So these two things we will see. So let's go one by one. There is a one effect called early effect, right? Now early effect has another name called base width modulation. This you might have recalled. You might recall that in basic electronics or introduction to electronics, you have this IC versus VCE, right? And this was the curve of ICVC, and when you try to extrapolate this linear region, they join at certain point, and we call that point as early voltage VA. So if you notice, that means there's some increase with VCE, right? Or linear increase with VCE. So that is attributed to this base width modulation. We know that WB is the actual width of the base. Okay, from the metallurgical junction at emitter base to collector base metallurgical junction. When they are biased, because base emitter is forward biased, so this depletion width will be small, but it will be there. And we are especially concerned with the depletion width on the side of base. So depletion on the side of base due to base emitter, and depletion on the side of the base due to base collector. Now when you increase the reverse bias on base collector junction, this will increase, right? And your effective base width will decrease. So now for the narrow base, what happens? Your carriers which are injected, right? Now their slope will be increased because now this is the depletion region. So now it has to go to 0 here. So the slope will be more. So your current IEP and ICP will increase. So your IE and IC will increase. Now, how does it increase? How the width change? That you can recall that what is the depletion which we discussed for the PN junction, and we found that depletion width varies at square root of V, right? V is basically VBI minus V applied or VBI plus VR, right? This is VBI plus V reverse bias, right? So as you apply the voltage, this width increases. So for common base characteristic, let's write equation IE is equal to IF naught, or notation we used. We used IES, right? Minus IR ICS. So this IF naught is same as IES, and this was alpha R ICS. So these two are same. IF naught is same as IES, and IR naught is same as ICS. The reverse saturation current for kind of reverse saturation current. So this is from the model we discussed in last class. Now, if the base collector voltage is fairly reverse biased, right? The base collector junction is fairly reverse biased, and the width of the base is much less than the diffusion length of the minority carriers. So holes here. And if you look at the expression for IF naught or IES, you had this coefficient for exponential function, and which you can approximate. There are two component, IE N and IEP, right? So of course, because emitter is highly doped, so it is IEP which will be dominating. So you can take out this one, and for a smaller width, sine hyperbolic can be approximated at sine x, hyperbolic x is x, W by LV. So LV will cancel. We have dV by W, right, times PV naught QA. So your IF naught is basically inversely proportional to the width, and width is proportional to the V. So as you increase the voltage, your width is decreasing, right? Is a decrease inversely proportional is a depletion width, right? So this width is decreasing as a square root of V. So if W minus something, that is square root of V. So you can write this W is W naught minus a term proportional to square root of V. So as you apply the voltage, this W is decreasing. So that way. And with that, you can see that the current will, of course, increase as you apply more reverse bias. Similarly, for common emitter, you can write IC is equal to beta IV plus ICO, and your beta is again inversely proportional to the actual base width, and that actually decreases, right? So your beta increases. So your IC increases. And you can recall this expression for depletion width from PN junction, and the depletion width on the base side due to base collector junction, it will be the total depletion width times collector doping by collector doping plus base doping. And of course, you can reduce this depletion width on the side of base by increasing its doping, right? So base doping is higher, then your early effect will be, the effect of this early voltage will be reduced. Or when the base bit modulation is reduced, what will be the early, what should be the early ideal early voltage? Ideal early voltage should be infinite, right? And when this base width modulation is seen, that means we get a finite early voltage. And for finite early voltage, we usually write IC is equal to whatever function we have obtained, and we multiply this by 1 plus VCE by VA, right? So VA is infinite, this vanishes, you have 1 year, and if VA is finite, it becomes a function of VCE. Okay. So that completes early voltage. Any questions so far? So from this you could recall what is early voltage, and if there is no base width modulation, you will have large early voltage, right? Now I gave you some preview in last class also, that if we want to, somehow make the magnetic carriers in the base move faster, right? We can have some built-in electric field there by graded doping, right? So let us analyze, if the base is graded, what will happen? So here you see the typical doping profile: emitter doping, base doping, and collector doping, right? So let us concentrate on the base region. So in base region, this this is PNP transistor. So it is N-type doping. That means donors will be there. So this N-type doping is decreasing. So what will be the direction of electric field? Now here I have shown it. It is pointing from left to right. But how will you get it? One way, of course, is simple. You write the equilibrium equation, and from that, when you equate it to 0, you get this kind of expression. And if it is doped with acceptors, then you will have plus sign here. And if it is doped with donors, you have negative sign here. But there's a simple way, using the Venn diagram. The doping is decreasing with X. That means your electron concentration is also decreasing with X, right? So if electron in the equilibrium Fermi level is constant, so how the conduction band as will shift? When the electron concentration is higher, conduction band should be here. When the electron concentration is lower, it should have moved up. So something like this, right? Now electric field is always in the direction of increasing energy, right? So this is minus QV, right? So that means this side is positive, this side is negative. Potential is decreasing, right? Because minus QV is increasing, that means potential is decreasing. So potential will be something like this. And electric field is always from positive potential to negative potential. So this electric field will help the holes. So if some hole come here, it will be accelerated by this field. So it will cross over the base region faster. It will take less time for the hole to cross over the base region. So, so these holes are pushed from the emitter, and they are accelerated by the built-in field here. So this will have improved speed. Okay, let us see the picture here. Oh, this is done. Okay. Any question on this graded base? Okay. So avalanche multiplication. For common base, it is very similar to the single PN junction, and we have a breakdown voltage called VCBO. For common emitter, there is an amplification factor involved. If you look at a normal reverse bias, some magnetic carrier from each side will cross over the junction. If the field is higher, they will get multiplied. But in case of common emitter, what is happening? Carriers are coming from emitter, right? Holes. So these holes are basically more holes are coming from base to collector. So that means if you require a very high multiplication factor for common base, here you don't require very high, right? It will be it will break down even at smaller multiplication factor. So see, if you see here the field here, right? If you increase the VCB, right? P and P, right? So you can say BBC, right? VBC. If you increase the base collector voltage, this field will increase, and higher the field, that means there is a greater chance of multiplication. So if you increase this reverse bias voltage, the multiplication factor will also increase. In case of common emitter, since we are getting already some amplification here, so if you can recall, IC is alpha by 1 minus alpha times IB. And this ICBO by 1 minus alpha. We can recall the expression we discussed in last class. ICB root IC is alpha times IE plus ICBO, right? And then we wrote IC is equal to beta times IB plus ICEO, right? And ICEO and ICBO are rated like this. ICEO is ICBO by 1 minus alpha. So this multiplication factor will be combined with alpha, right? And then the modified expression will be something like this: m alpha by 1 minus m alpha, right? Now what is requirement on m here? If you want to have a large current, your m alpha should approach 1, right? Now alpha is by design is very close to 1, so you actually need m slightly more than 1, slightly more than 1. So your breakdown in case of common emitter will be quicker than common base. Here you can compare the three diagrams. For ideal ICVC with early effect base weight modulation, you get this linear increase, and with avalanche multiplication, it basically multiplies quite fast. Now, if you see here, the change in the slope appears earlier for high IC, because that means your alpha is higher here, right? So alpha times multiplication will be higher, right? So it basically changes at a smaller voltage. Okay, so that means for high IC, breakdown actually takes place even before this VCO. So this is a VCO that is defined. So of course they will go here, but So this is basically kind of break. So when you want to operate it, you have so the allowed range is basically smaller. So if you see in your lab, there is a limit to VCE, right? Right. Now this is the limit here. So of course we don't go to that voltage anyway. We usually keep it around 12 volt or something, right? So we are well in the safe limit. So far, any question? Okay. Now let us see from the equations that we have obtained. Can we relate them with small signal parameters for a BJT? So this is the diagram or a small signal equivalent circuit. You might not have seen this in this format, but if I write here, this is R pi, this is R out, this is GMBBE, or it's beta IB, right? Then it is familiar. And how do we define these parameters? R pi is PB by IB, right? R out is VCE by IC, right? I mean in small terms, right? Or you can write DVCE by DIC, right? Is your R naught. Similarly, other parameters here. So, and we can write the same thing. So G12 and G21, they are trans parameters. Now they are current here, so they will be I over V, right? Di by dV. So what you can do to obtain these parameters, these are 4 parameters only. You can express IB and IC as a reference value plus this is basically VV, small VV is basically the AC part. This is AC part due to AC part. So that you can write the derivative with respect to VB, derivative with respect to VC, and same thing for IC. And then you can write your IB total is basically IBDC plus IBAC, right? And this is ICDC plus ICAC. So if you take only AC part, so IB is G11 VB plus G12 VC, IC is G21 VB plus G2, and G11 is basically this is G11 del IB by del VB at constant VC, and this is G12 del IB by del VC, and G21 is del IC by del VB, and G22 is del IC by del VC, right? And this is 1 over R naught, right? And this is R pi, and this is your GM. Right? Sometimes there's one more parameter because this base collector junction is reverse bias, so we have a capacitance here, right? So if you write this equivalent circuit, and you can also estimate the value for this C mu. Now C mu is basically your base collector junction, right? Base, sorry, here we have N P and P transistor, so base value N type, right? So this is base, this is collector, and base collector is especially reverse bias, so it is a junction capacitance that will play a role here, and junction capacitance can be written as 1 over square root of 1 plus VCB, right? Now this again you can obtain from C is epsilon A by W, and this W is basically proportional to square root of something something plus square root of VCB, right? And the C mu naught is basically capacitance at 0 voltage. So if your VCV is 0, right, your capacitance should be C mu naught. So similarly, your C pi can be obtained from this GM is GM tau. How do you get it? Now C is basically dq by dv at base emitter junction, right? Now Q you can write is I times tau. So this becomes basically di by dv. Now di by dv is 1 over r pi, right? And that is, sorry, di by dve, right? Yeah, so this should be 1 over r, right? So that is gm. So you have this expression here, C pi is gm times tau. Then this tau f, of course, you can get if you compare these two q by I, right? Now q is the charge stored here, right, in the base region, the magnetic carriers due to magnetic carriers, and tau is basically the time taken for these charges to cross over. So we can relate that I is q by tau, right? So tau can be written as q by I. Now q is basically the total amount of charge, right? Especially for narrow base, we can write q is equal to half width, base width, times the maximum concentration, delta p exponential qv by kT, those things, right? Let's call it delta p naught. And then your I is basically slope of this thing. So q a d times dp by dx, right? The dp by dx will be delta p naught, the maximum value, divided by w, right? And if you take the ratio of these two, q over I, what you will get? You will get w square by 2d, right? So that's what you get. So wb is the basically effective width, base width, and d is the diffusion coefficient. Now here in this case we will have dp because we are dealing with PNP transistor. So dp will be the diffusion coefficient of minority holes. If for NPN we will have Dn, the diffusion coefficient of minority electrons. Okay. Now there are one couple of more terms that we need to know. Different cutoff frequencies. So you have beta cutoff frequency and unity gain frequency that you can obtain from IC by IB, right? That is beta, right? So in which case now beta is basically a function of frequency, right? So typically if you see here, your beta should go like this, and at some frequency it will be 1 by root 2, right? So you have cutoff frequency here, and unity gain means beta becomes 1 at that frequency. This IC by IB you can obtain. Now this is a small signal equivalent circuit for um, common emitter, and this is a short circuit current basically at the emitter output, IC at the collector output, and this is the input base current. And this is basically a simple circuit where you can just do the node analysis. So this is just a node 1 and this is node 2. So at node 1 if you write KCL, you will get you will be able to relate this IC, right? So your IC will be, this is from node 1, IC is equal to GMBBE, right? And minus SC mu times VB VB, right? VBE, right? Because emitter and this is also 0 volt. And if you write the node equation at the KCL at the node 2, you will get this equation. Your VBE, you can basically write IB is equal to VB by R pi VV times SC pi, VV times SC mu, right? So you can write VV is equal to IB R by SC pi plus mu times R pi plus 1. So if you use these two equations, and if you take the ratio of IC by IB, your VV will cancel, right? GM minus SC mu by SC mu plus SC pi, then you multiply R pi plus 1. Okay. Okay, beta naught is basically replaced for GM R pi. GM R pi is written as beta naught here. So beta naught is your common common base current, common emitter current gain, right? This is the frequency dependent term. Now, if you notice the value C mu is actually quite small, right? So this you can neglect it. You will just have 1 over SC pi C mu R pi plus 1, right? And this you can write as omega beta. So when omega equal to omega beta, you will have beta naught by root 2. So omega beta becomes your cutoff frequency. And your this thing beta will be 1 if this part is equal to beta naught, right? So your omega is basically omega beta times beta naught. That will be unity gain frequency. So if you are this, if you note here is omega beta times beta naught, right? Divided by omega beta. So this is this, and beta naught beta will cancel. You will have 1. So unity gain frequency will be higher or lower? You have some cutoff frequency given by R pi, C pi, and C mu, and unity gain frequency will be a beta naught factor more than the cutoff frequency. So basically your gain decreases and then it reaches 1. So this is the unity gain frequency, omega t, and this is the omega beta. So beta cutoff frequency and unity gain frequency. Okay, so with this we close here. In next class we will further continue the discussion and hopefully close the BJT. If you have any question, I will take a couple of questions, then we will close. Thank you.